Welcome back to the channel. Today I have got 10 tips for you if you're planning on completing the Yorkshire Three Peaks challenge soon, so stick around for this one. So tip number one is to take plenty of water with you. There's not a lot of places to fill up on this hiking challenge, so I would recommend a minimum of 2 litres of water per person if you're going to be taking on this challenge. Probably 3 litres if it's a hotter day. And that's because there's only really 2 places on the trail where you can fill up, and that is the ice cream van which is down by Ribblehead Viaduct, which isn't guaranteed to be there, and the other place is in the small little snack cafe on the farm. They do vending machines which dispense drinks, and I would also consider putting an electrolyte tablet in one of the bottles, just to help replace any of those electrolytes, those salts and stuff that you're going to lose as you're walking around on the trail. So take plenty of water. So tip number 2 would be toilets. So there aren't a lot of places to go to the toilet when you're on the trail, and there's only 2 main places, like proper places, where you can go. And the first one is when you first start off in the car park at Horton in Ribblesdale. So I would recommend at least trying to go there before heading off, because the next one isn't for 2/3 of the way around, again at the farm, where you can stop for snacks and drinks. So the path does get very, very busy, so there's not very many places where you can go and sneak off and have a wee, especially if you're a female. There's not a lot of discreet places where you could hide from the general public. So tip number 3, and this is something that caught me out, is the distance to Whernside from Pen-y-ghent. Now, I'd looked at quite a lot of YouTube videos when I wanted to do the challenge, and a lot of them didn't show the track from Pen-y-ghent to Whernside. Quite often they summited Pen-y-ghent and they ended up at the viaduct, but let me tell you this, there is a lot of distance to cover between those 2 points, and when you get down to the viaduct there's still about another 4 or 5 miles to go before you even reach the next summit, so just be wary of that. But it is a good little stint on the trail, and I was pleasantly surprised by it. If you're new here, please consider liking this video and consider subscribing. It would absolutely mean the world to me to help grow this channel, especially if you like hiking challenges, vlogs, wild camping, all that good stuff. It would absolutely mean the world to me and help me get out on more journeys and adventures to show you guys. So please consider clicking that subscribe button, and let's jump back into the tips. So tip number 4 is to look after your feet. This is obviously quite a strenuous hiking challenge, and it's no joke. So make sure that you've got a good set of worn-in hiking boots or trail runners that you're used to hiking in, and wear a good set of merino wool hiking socks and merino wool sock liners, and that's to help prevent the friction of your feet rubbing inside of your boots, and also address any hot spots quite quickly. I didn't do this and I ended up with several quite painful blisters, so make sure you take some Compeed or Leuco tape and address the hotspots before they develop into anything worse. So tip number 5, and this is something that I mentioned in my main video as well when I did the challenge, and that is to backtrack on Ingleborough when you get to the summit. And this is where a lot of people go wrong and they end up getting lost. So what they end up doing is they get to the top of Ingleborough, touch the summit, and then continue down the other side and into the wrong valley. But what you've got to do is when you tap that summit, that trig point, turn around and head back down the track that you've just came, and you'll notice when you start to descend that the track actually forks left and right, and then you want to be taking the right hand track if you're going back to the start point. So don't forget to backtrack and don't get lost. So tip number 6 is to take a good set of waterproofs and to check the mountain weather. The weather on this challenge can be very, very changeable, and it can change in an instant. So always remember to take a good set of waterproofs, even if the forecast is for sunny and clear. When I did the challenge, I ended up having to take a fleece and a couple of extra layers, because when I set off in the morning in the valleys, the temperatures were in the negatives, and by the time I got to the summit and in the middle of the day, it was around 20 degrees. I think it was quite hot, so it can be very, very changeable. And always check the weather, so check MWIS and the Met Office for summit specific conditions, and just make sure that you are fully prepared for the conditions that you're going into. So tip number 7 is to bring plenty of snacks to eat on the way around. It's quite an intense hike and quite an intense challenge, so you need to fuel your body correctly. I recommend just bringing some sort of like snack bars, some high sugar, high carb snack bars that'll help fuel your journey around, and also just like little things that you can pick at, like sweets and stuff that you can quickly shove into your mouth to help fuel the journey. So I always avoid any big meals when I'm on hikes anyway. I feel like when you have a big meal, it slows you down, but you definitely don't want to be bringing anything too heavy on the hike with you, or else you'll just end up feeling bloated and crap. So tip number 8 is to not stop for too long. Obviously you need to take plenty of rest if you need to take it, but don't make the mistake that I did and stop to admire the view every 2 seconds. Especially when I was going up Pen-y-ghent for the first time, the sunrise over the valley was just absolutely magical. I ended up stopping for too long, and I also ended up stopping enjoying an ice cream for a little bit too long and bathing in the sun. Remember, this is a time challenge, so you don't want to be taking too long on your rest breaks, or you might not make that 12 hours. Tip number 9, and this might be a little bit of a controversial one, and that is you don't really need a map, or at least I found you didn't anyway. I thought the route was extremely well signposted, and I didn't really need to check it. I had a map and compass with me, and obviously you need to know how to use them as well for if you do get lost, but I had the route downloaded to my phone on OS Maps, and I found myself checking it probably 2 or 3 times throughout the entire hike, and that was just to mostly check how much distance that I'd actually covered and how much distance there was until the next point, or until the next point that I was going to stop. But other than that, the route is extremely well signposted across the entire trail, so you don't really need to take a map, but do anyway, just in case. And the final thing that I want to mention, so tip number 10, is that there are a few small scrambles. Now I would say 99% of the trail is flat path. It's mostly gravel or rock, something like that, but it's a well-defined path. So there is a couple of little sections where you will be getting a little hands-on and a little bit of climbing, but it's nothing too technical, and it's nothing too strenuous, so just be wary of that. So if you haven't made it this far into the video, thank you for watching the entire thing. Please consider liking the video and subscribing if you are new here and you found these tips useful. And if you are heading out and completing the Yorkshire Three Peaks challenge soon, I hope you have a fantastic day, and I hope you smash your targets, because it is a great day out. I love the challenge, and if you haven't seen my Yorkshire Three Peaks challenge video, I recommend you go check that out next, because I do show quite a lot of the route. So thank you, and I'll see you on the next one.